There we go. Hello and welcome to another special episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. This is recap of the first playoff match between the Orange and Blue and New York City FC. Feeling pretty good, coming off of a win tonight here. My name is Brian Biedenbach, not Brian Weigel tonight. We've got two other co-hosts with me tonight. Jason Ashcraft, how you doing, my friend?
Feeling a lot better now that we got a win. But going into that, I don't know how I was feeling, but a dub always makes the night better.
It does make it a little bit better. And Justin Blair, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I like this. This just feels amazing. Like the first time we were in it, we had no hope, but we felt like we could come in and make a splash. 2022, and then 2023, we were the odds-on favorites to win it. So this just feels fun, right? Like Monday. I know there was a lot of griping about the Monday, and it looks like Brian in the chat is definitely feeling the pain right now.
But sitting in traffic on I-75.
Yeah, there's a few commuters during the week, but no, it feels like great that we get to have playoff action in TQL Stadium, right? We've only we had 3 before tonight's match, so it's great to have that atmosphere and not necessarily be looked at as the pressure, the weight of the world is on our shoulders. Like something fun to go into the competition. Maybe we can make a splash this year.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. I feel like I'm running on this high tonight, just coming off the win. I got the second game on the TV next to me here. We're just diving right in. So I guess that's how a post-match game or post-match show is supposed to go, right? Yeah. Coming in high energy, especially off of a win. Let's we normally go into our best and worst on a regular match week. I wanted to just kind of get a vibe check tonight from we're coming off the first playoff win. It was a 1-0 game. There were some scary moments at the end of the game, but we looked confident to start the match. How are you guys feeling about coming off this match? How are you feeling about the team? How are you feeling about the playoffs? What are you thinking?
I'm feeling good. I mean, the team played well. The defense, minus a few hiccups, I think they were really solid. We'll get a little bit more into that later. We had some really good looks at goal. A couple that you should have gone in. It could have been 3-0. It could have been easily 2-0. There was Joe Keeney with one that just unfortunately didn't go in that really should have. But I think that for me going into this game, I was like, oh, I don't know what kind of team we're going to get. And then they came out and they played well. No, NYCFC also played decent, but at no point did I feel like FC Cincinnati was behind the game. Like at no point was I like, oh, we're going to lose. I felt like it was a solid game, top to bottom.
Yeah, this was, if I remember correctly, this was the first time in back-to-back games that we started the same lineup. Is that correct?
Yes,
all season?
That is correct.
I believe every other game this season, we had a different lineup anyway. Like we couldn't even start back-to-back. So, I think Pat Noonan said something at halftime that I was really excited about that I'll talk about later, actually, but it gave me some confidence going in. Like this dude knew what he was doing. He was holding his cards pretty close going into this match. And we're going to see something special in the second half. So, again, we'll talk about that in just a minute. Justin, how you feeling about this team, the playoffs moving forward?
Yeah, I think this team could push. I think that, as Jason said, there was a couple opportunities that we should have had. It's just like you kind of expected this going into the playoffs. It's like this team is not a team that likes to be on the mat. So Lucho Acosta, Pat Noonan, and company, they're just some of the most competitive people in all of MLS. And one way or another, they were going to try to will this thing together. And I think tonight there was just an energy. Like you saw some players being a little bit gassed toward the end. I think one of the things that was really welcome to see was seeing FC Cincinnati kind of hold legs a little bit in the first opening minutes. I think that gets them in bad positioning and part of why we concede early a lot of the times. And it also keeps us fresh toward the middle of the game. And you could see it paid off with the win or with the game winner there off of Assad's head. So I think if Cincinnati can use that energy, because they're probably, I mean, second to the team that's, you know, up north a little bit, probably the most explosive team when you have Luca Orishano, when you have Lucho Acosta, and I think even some of, you know, like Kubo can get in the mix there, but they could be the most explosive team, and I think New York City FC saw that earlier this year.
Yeah. You know, I don't know that I share the same sentiment with you that you just knew this team was going to do this going into the playoffs. I am the eternal optimist and always hopeful that this team can do this going into the playoffs. But the way we finished the season, I was a little doubtful. They weren't looking like a team that was confident. They weren't looking like a team that believed in themselves anymore. That last match against Philly, we saw a taste of that. But this team came out confident tonight. I was blown away. The offense was clicking. They were moving forward together better than we have seen them in a long time. I think the back line, again, Jason, you mentioned it earlier, off, you know, maybe it was off air, I can't remember, but this was the best that our back line has looked in a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
And it's only taken Hadebe a couple games, a couple matches to get in the swing of that. And even Awazium coming back off of injury, getting right back in the mix there with Robinson there as a 3 center back set. So yeah, I was really excited to see how they started, the firepower they brought, and to see a stout back line. I was pretty excited. I think this team, if they start believing in themselves, like, and get in the form that they were in midseason, I think they could do some damage in the playoffs. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm hesitant, but I'm feeling pretty good about this team moving forward.
Yeah, it's the playoffs and anything can happen. And I think I was kind of on the Reddit, the subreddit for MLS during the match and reading the match thread, because I always like to hear what other people who don't follow FC Cincinnati are saying. And you get a really good taste of like what everybody, all of us sickos who watch MLS, are thinking of the match. And one of the things that I saw a bunch of NYCFC fans say is that they like to play a very counterattacking style. And FC Cincinnati just didn't allow them to do that. I mean, possession was pretty easy, but you know, FC Cincinnati, I think, controlled the pace of play. They were able to really dictate the defense. There was a few stupid giveaways here or there, but there wasn't really like one or two that, like, thank you, Brian Weigel, that that made it like an opportunity for NYCFC to really counter. They did a really good job of, when a mistake happened, fixing it really quickly, you know, getting the defense back where they should be. And I think, to me, that was pretty much the key to the entire match.
Yeah, I think you're right about New York City FC wanting to play that counterattacking style, and we had the speed in the back, I feel like, to keep up with them the times that they did try and counter. We had Awazium running with somebody, and we had Hadebe running with somebody down the other side. We've got a shout from Brian Weigel in the chat that teenage is our new Arson. Yersa Mascara. Yeah. Kind of felt like that a little bit tonight. I was excited to see that. Yeah, let's get into the match recap a little bit. Let's just kind of talk through what we saw in the match from beginning to end. This match recap is brought to you by our friends at Apollo Home, our show sponsor tonight. We appreciate Apollo Home and all that they do. Give them a call if you need any HVAC work done as we move into the fall at your home or office, right? Yeah, we'll just say that. Let's get into the match recap. The starting 11 we mentioned earlier was the same as we saw just a couple days ago against Philly. Any surprise there about that same starting 11? Or are you glad to see that?
No, I was a little surprised to see Emil Yasad being included into the lineup, and Yedlin in particular, because of the way that New York City FC wanted to attack us. I was concerned that we like to float up the the touchline. That's their strategy, right? They kind of
Mm-hmm.
give us a little bit of taste of our own medicine. They like to press up high, and when they get that turnover, they're getting that ball in the wide areas and redirecting in its center of frame. But for whatever reason, tonight, I think those boys laced up and said, we're playing some defense. I think Assad gets a lot of credit for what he did in the attack and getting that goal, but you got to give the guy some props, man. He played lights out defensively for the better part of the game. And then his communication, I think, was the most welcome thing I've ever seen. Because you got teenage Hidebe that's, what, like 4 or 5 matches in on FC Cincinnati now.
Yep.
And then to have somebody like Emil Assad, who, Hidebe's played MLS minutes, but Assad has played so many minutes for DC United and now for FC Cincinnati. He's been in the mix. So to have a guy like that that's being able to communicate and redirect, because sometimes I think our midfield gets a little bit too caught up in what they're doing and trying to communicate on how they're going to switch off and stuff like that, that no one on the back line is really communicating that. That's the biggest problem with not having Matt Miazga. So I was really excited to see that.
Do you think, though, that was part of the strategy, though, going in, because New York City FC does like to counter? If we could keep the press up high with Yedlin and Assad sneaking forward, or do you think that we were just banking on our back three being able to keep up and stop the counter?
I think we tried to keep the press up high. I mean, and the stats kind of show that. I mean, we were in their third a lot of the match. We got like 20 shots to their 6 or something. It was really lopsided. And I think not only was our back line playing well, but Buka and Obi did a real good job of keeping that press going. There were some really key takeaways from those two within the match. I thought Obi played one of his better matches we've seen all season. But yeah, I think the idea was, let's try to keep it in New York City's third and really pepper the goal and try to prevent them from really being able to build on a counter.
Yeah. We got a shout from Kivbot in the comments that looked like Obi killed a bunch of, he was in the Bailey watching the match. He was there. Looked like Obi killed a bunch of counterattacks. And I agree with that. I think Obi and Buka both played strong matches in the middle. I felt like Obi was back to the form we know Obi to be. He was progressing the ball a little bit more. He tried to volley with the ref in front of him tonight. I was, I didn't love that, but Buka too, I think played solid in that midfield, and a couple of those, I don't know what you would call it, a little hesitation plays where it looked like he was running for the ball and the defender kind of stopped and he just was able to step in front and take the ball. Just an easy take of the ball, I thought was brilliant. I do think our midfield, for as much as I think last week we talked about their passing stats, completion percentage was much better than it had been. And I just thought, man, last week by the eye test, to me, we missed a lot of passes last week. Our passing percentage may have been up, but it looked like we missed some key passes last week. And I didn't see that tonight. I saw a lot of good, good passing in tight spaces all the way through the midfield most of the night. We did miss a few key ones, but I think overall that chemistry felt like we were reading each other well, we were communicating well, and they knew what they were doing a little bit more tonight than maybe I've seen them in the last few matches. Agree with that?
Yeah, I think there was also a conscious effort to stay centrally. I think a couple of times there was a bit of a switch over or something like that, and you're seeing like Pavel and Obi chasing after the ball together. And creating that spacing not only gives you better coverage on defending, but it also gives you that outlet. And that's what, when you're getting that quick, for a team that likes to press at you and try to capitalize on the counters, that quick possession change is like the best opportunity for them. So for Obi and Buka to be a kind of lockstep this match, and it was good to see. And credit to Lucho. I think some of the rest has really helped him with his legs. He was really getting back and getting in on the mix and making it a little bit easier for Pavel Buka.
Yeah, Lucho was doing a good job of making himself available I think everybody, not just Obi and Buka, but I think like one of my gripes, if I have one, about Lucho, and this might have been because he was hurt for a part of the year, is sometimes he wants people to find him rather than him making himself as available as he could. In this match, I think he was there. I mean, someone would get the ball, and Lucho was 10, 15 yards away within a second. And if you can get the ball to him, good things happen. So good on him.
100% agree with that. Last match, I know I keep going back, but that's the one that's most recent, obviously, in my head, that I had some issues with the way Lucho played. I feel like he was wanting the ball and holding back and hanging back when Kubo was trying to go forward and like waiting for him to make a run. And Kubo or Lucho just stayed next to him and said, like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, instead of progressing and making that run so Kubo could split the defenders. And today, I think he was making himself available, but he was even going forward. I feel like when he saw the runs, he was making them instead of sitting back and watching. And I think that's when Lucho's dangerous, right? He can get in behind defenders, but he can beat the defenders as well if he needs to, if they catch him or whatever. So I feel like he was reading the game really, really well tonight, and he was back to the Lucho that we all know and love. And I feel like there were a couple moments in the box that maybe he held the ball one touch too long, but man, I'm okay with it in a game like this. That he's producing, he's making things happen. One thing I'll say as we talk about this team going forward tonight, FC Cincinnati seemed to go down the left a lot tonight, and maybe that was because Yedlin went out early, went out at halftime with a back injury, right? I think in the 30th minute when he lunged for that ball coming across there. But we went down the left side a lot tonight, and I thought early on we kept getting stuck, whether it was Assad, whether it was Kubo or Ashano, or even Lucho. When we go down the side, we would get stuck in the offensive third in that corner and not be sure where to go. Now, when Lucho came in, he found ways to do it, but it looked like some of our guys felt a little lost until Lucho got there. Like we got the ball here. Where you at, Lucho? We're waiting. Second half, that opened up a little bit.
Can you blame them? Can you blame them for waiting for Lucho Acosta to arrive?
No, but man, you've got Kubo on the ball, you've got Orishano on the ball, you've got guys that can do something with the ball, and they're waiting. Now, the goal that we did score, it started on the right side. Kubo hits it across, he shoots it across, gets deflected. Lucho comes in and he pings the ball back in. So the goal actually came off the left side, but the attack started on the right. And I thought we looked better coming down the right side this match. There just seemed to be more space. So that was what I noticed offensively going forward. We had more shots. We had, than New York City FC. Obviously, we looked confident going forward. Celentano had a few moments. He had to make a few saves, and he came up big. How do you feel about his play tonight?
I mean, it just really, like you said, really wasn't tested, but I will say that his positioning was a bit off. And, I'm not the biggest goalkeeping expert on planet Earth, but like it's kind of getting disappointing because it's like at some point you have to trust the guys in front of you and stop trying to cheat over. I think it was really noticeable in that last goal attempt. I think he was waiting for the header to come in, but it didn't, and the ball squeaked through, and he was completely out of position in that situation. Somebody else could probably point out all the nuances, but just as a casual observer, it just feels like he's still not really there yet with trust in the guys in front of him. And I mean, to be honest, you can't really blame him in that situation. I mean, there have been a lot of leaky situations, so it's just developing that trust and keeping those communication lines open. And no doubt, Paul Rogers and company are well equipped to be able to kind of coach that in them.
Right.
Yeah, I think those moments of chaos at the end of a match, everybody gets a little nervy, right? And again, to be fair, this is the first time he's had the same three backs playing in front of him. in consistent games. I think he came up big when he needed to. There wasn't much asked of him tonight. He came up big when he needed to. That ball across the middle there at the end, yeah, that was a little scary, but somebody touching that ball on the near post. I mean, it's hard to not be out of position. You know, you're waiting for that ball and then it skips off of somebody you're not expecting. And so I'm just glad it didn't go in. I don't know that he played it poorly, but yeah, I'm glad it didn't go in.
Yeah, being really tight to that near post didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, though. I think the anticipation is that somebody is coming at it and cutting the ball off and directing it toward the near post. You're not going to be able to get a shot off of near post with any kind of pace.
But then he gets burned for giving up goals on the near post if he didn't cheat that way, right?
Yeah,
guy comes in.
That comes down to trusting your guys, right? Like I know that the old adage, like goalkeepers should never give away a near post, but you also don't give up acres of space. Like there has to be either an alignment change where you're putting somebody on that far side. You're telling Joey Aquino, okay, Joey Aquino, you're going to stand on this line, and I'm going to be out playing the near post. Something has to. You can't just have a ginormous open hole right on that other side of the net, because if somebody was making a run, that's goal all day long.
Jason, what do you think? I don't know that I totally agree, but what do you think, Jason? Any thoughts?
I mean, there at the end, I was just kind of, chewing my nails and hoping nothing crazy happened. So
and it almost did twice.
Yeah, I didn't see enough. Like all I saw was just bodies scrambling around trying to get the ball. So
yeah.
I can't contribute anything to this part of the game recap. I was just there going, please don't score. God, please don't score.
Yeah. I will say one phase of the game that we've talked about all season we've not been good in is set pieces.
Yeah.
And it seemed that we were a step better than we have been. I think that comes down to our tall back line communicating better, being able to win balls out of the air, communication getting better. And I think even so that's the back line defensively, but even moving forward, we had some attempts on corners that were legitimate goal scoring opportunities tonight. And I just think we look better on set pieces tonight.
Yeah, in both phases, offensively and defensively, you're right. I think, and there were a couple of times too. The one in particular, I don't know what timestamp it would have been, but where Lucho played a short corner to Orishano, and he was able, I think, to get a good cross in, and unfortunately, it just didn't go in. It might have been Teenage who got his head on it, or else I'm just making things up. But yeah, and I think that's something too that we've been missing is a center back who is a threat on corner kicks. Miles Robinson, very good defender, not the best on corner kicks. I think Hadibi was able to really, be threatening on set pieces, which is good to see. We needed that.
Yeah. I think having all three of them up there that are all 6 foot or tall. Well, I guess Hadabi's 5'11". I looked that up last week. He plays taller than he is, I think. But having those three, even Robinson in there just to clog up the middle, and knowing a guy like Hadabi or Wazium can jump over top is really helpful, I think, there. So definitely look better on set pieces. How about Luca with the Olympico attempt there near the end? Who was it? One of the commentators early on going into the match before kickoff said they were talking about the goals everyone scored, and Orishano's got 10 goals. He only scores bangers in the MLS. It was the comment. And I thought that's an interesting comment.
Yeah.
And then he tries to put an Olympico in off the corner, which is pretty fantastic, and almost did it. So
he had the Olympico attempt, and then he also had I think that was in the first half when he tried the long shot and it bounced off the post.
Oh yeah.
Like I thought that was going in too. Like that looked really good.
Listen, what defender, this kid is cutting to his left foot, and there's 2 defenders on him, and with one cut beats them both and gets a shot off to hit the post. What defender is still letting that guy cut to his left?
At some point people are just going to start fouling him.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a hack a shack. Yeah, they're going to take the risk because even though he is set pieces he's dangerous on, the odds are a little bit better for the defense on a set piece. And since they've moved him up front, I like that move. I think he is a very good all-around player. He can play in multiple positions, but him being up front and having freedom to move along with Lucho, that is a great piece of management by Pat Noonan to get that to happen.
That's just it, right? Like he gets to drop in, and that's something that we don't really have with any other option at forward, right? We have no guy. Kelsey wasn't efficient at it. Bird wasn't very good at it. Santos is iffy on that, but dropping in toward that midfield position and saying collecting the ball and turning toward goal. I think one of the biggest things about Luca Orishano, and this is coming from a defender, is he's always coming at you with pace. Yeah. I think it's one thing if he's just got you straight up and he's trying to do a little bit of foot magic and he's going to his left. That's a little bit easier to defend than somebody that's coming at you with a full stride. I think that's where the red lights and everyone's panicking and just trying to get a foot on the ball and miss it. Because if you get the wrong step on that guy, he's already passed you. And now you're leaving your goalkeeper on a 1v1 situation. That's just terrible. So Luca Orishana, hats off to him. He's still finding ways to get there. And I think that's credit also to Pat Noonan and the rest of his teammates for getting him into a position where he's more successful.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Do you think we see him stay up top in this next match, or do we put him out wide?
I don't think you should ever take Orishano off of that. I mean, unless there's a significant injury to DeAndre Yedlin, then we shouldn't see Orishano play anywhere but for the rest of this playoff.
I like the way you think, Justin. I like the way you think. Does Corey Baird start at left back?
I mean, we're assuming
not
that.
A serious question.
Well,
hopefully Yedlin comes back.
Yeah, Assad will still be the left back, but yeah, on right back, that kind of like you got Powell that can slot in and that. We'll see how it goes. I think Yedlin should be fine after taking a bump. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see how their mindset is going into the New York game, right? Like, are you looking at this as a must-win at New York, or are you looking at this as a situation where, you know, you could get another week of getting healthy and then come back at it? Yeah, there's a lot of advantages to this 3-game scenario. I mean, you never want to leave a game out there, but also you're getting another full week to prepare. It's not like you're playing a game midweek or something.
Yeah. No, that wasn't really a serious question. I hope you didn't take it that way. When Baird came in, he played one ball, gave it a bad giveaway. Obi had to come back, foul the guy, and they get a free kick and an attempt on frame in the 97th minute of the match. It was a little scary moment for me. Yeah. So what do you think happened there at the end? Did we start breaking down? Did New York City just turn it up? I know this chaos happens at the end of every match when a team is pushing. Did you see anything that, I know there were some scary moments, some nervy moments, but did you see anything that you were like, uh-oh, we're making some big mistakes here, or this just is how the end of a match goes?
For me, it was more, this is how the end of the match goes. I mean, whenever you start bringing in substitutions, and that's the difference between MLS and some of these leagues around the world, is your bench is not as good as your starters usually. Yeah. And especially when you're having guys maybe playing a little out of position like Corey Baird. That's not where he normally plays. I didn't think, at no point did I think, oh gosh, we could really screw this up. But there were a few nervy moments though. Especially there towards the very end when there was that mix up with Lucho committing the foul, but then getting punched in the face and a red card. I thought, oh no, this is when it would happen, you know, if something were to go off the rails.
Was it a straight red for you?
Yeah. I mean,
no question.
I don't think he intentionally punched him in the face. I mean, he gave him a shove, and because of the height difference, his fist just happened to hit him in the face. And you can't do that, especially right in front of the fourth official.
Right. I don't know that the fist I don't know if the fist did much damage. I think he went in with the elbow. His fist kind of flipped up under Lucho's arm, and Lucho sold it hard.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
Lucho
sell it.
sold that hard. I don't know that that's a straight red for me, but it was definitely a card.
He 100% sold the contact, but the intention was 100% there. I mean,
I agree with that.
His arm is in this position.
It wasn't though. It was here, and then when he hit him,
his fist is here when it makes contact. He's got his palm up and in a fist motion and comes up underneath Lucho. It's not like he's uppercutting. This isn't like a UFC position or anything like that, but he's 100% just trying to get a little bit back from that kind of a reckless challenge by Lucho on that area.
But the foul hadn't been called yet at that point, had it?
No.
It was a late whistle there. I thought he was calling it on Gray there.
I did too, but yeah, it was totally a foul on Lucho. I was like, I remember watching it live in the match. I'm like, geez, Lucho got air.
I think we're losing.
He kicked Justin offline. Wow.
Yeah. He jumped right into him like a little cannonball, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think we're losing Justin here. Yeah. So I think nervy moments at the end of the match. Jason, if I could name it, I'd call it the pee my pants moment of the match when the ball was whipped in, and I think it was Awazium that headed it away.
Yeah.
And Santi Rodriguez just launches one that goes just over the bar.
Yeah.
And caught everybody off guard. I think, man, Celentano made a step towards it, but he was beat hard if that ball was a little bit lower.
Yeah, that was the squeaky bum time, as they call it sometimes. That's another point there at the very end where I was like, oh no, because you're right, it only missed by a little bit. Had it maybe a foot lower, we'd be looking at overtime right now. Might just now be finishing up.
Yeah. Let's talk. We haven't talked about the goal, I don't think, yet that we scored. We just kind of mentioned it. The ball comes in. It's who is it? Was it Orishano? I'm trying to remember, that plays it through to Kubo.
Yes.
Kubo runs. I swore the angle I saw, I thought Kubo was going to be called offsides with that run. He must have timed it just right. I was actually setting up my camera for the live stream there when that goal happened. So it looked to me at first glance that Kubo was offsides, but he wasn't called that way. He shoots the ball across. The ball pings off of a defender. I think took a slight deflection, goes straight across to Lucho, who banks it off of Yamil Assad's face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that Assad knew that ball was coming. I think he made a good play on the ball when I watched it a second time, but it looked like Lucho I wasn't sure if he called a bank shot, but man, he put it right off his nose.
Yeah. I mean, Assad was making a nice run, but Lucho, that was exactly as you described it. Lucho was banking it off of Assad. I mean, it wasn't even a pass really either. It was, I'm going to shoot this ball at your noggin, and it's just going to pop right into the goal. He didn't even have to move his head forward. He just stood there. It reminded me of, what was it? Was it last year when Dom Baji hit Brandon Vasquez in the face in like Minnesota?
That's what it was. Yeah, I was trying to think who that was.
Right in. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of skill you need to be able to do that. Like, had Lucho could have maybe gone like near post or something, but no, he was like, I see my teammate there. I'm just going to use him to play bumper pool and score a goal.
I feel like he needs to get more credit than an assist for that goal.
Yeah.
If he would have called the bank shot, I think they would have given the goal to Lucho.
I would have, because the celebration was kind of funny. Because Assad kind of like walked over to him like, thanks, man. I really wish I could hear like a mic'd up segment of what they were saying, because I would love to know the conversation that Assad had with Lucho where he's like, hey, glad I could be there. Good shot, buddy.
Justin, welcome back. I don't know if you heard our commentary or not. We're debating whether or not Lucho should get more than an assist for that goal, and if he called the bank shot, would they have given him the goal for it or not?
It's like the ringer. Just stand there. I'll bounce it off your head. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't have found a more perfect spot to deliver that ball. That was amazing. I was going to give a shout out to her, um, cop for the surge protector. My entire system just completely crashed.
Oh
Like,
no.
Oh, no.
but thank you to a surge protector, I don't have to replace all these devices. So we're back in the
Fantastic.
saddle.
All right. Well, welcome back. Glad to have you back, Justin. Just in time to talk about the man of the match. So as we get into man of the match, we've got to recognize our sponsor, Beyond Exercise, here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. So we're going to call this Beyond Exercise Man of the Match. Justin, who you got?
I think I alluded to it earlier. I think it has to be Assad. I think the goal is the obvious one, but going back to it, I think what he brought to the defensive side was just paramount. Sorry, a little bit of burp there. But he like I didn't know that part of his game existed. I really didn't. Like I know he's played a lot of minutes, especially in Leagues Cup. He got a lot of time playing up top with Sergio Santos, and seemingly was one of our only players that could progress the ball. But I didn't know that he could play defensively that way. He was very chippy. He was withstanding some of the pressure. He was able to hold the ball when the team really needed him to hold the ball. So I hats off to Emil Assad. He brought it today.
Jason, who you got for your man of the match?
I'm going to second it on Assad, and I just want to point out real quick that he had an 88% pass accuracy in 89 minutes. I mean, that to me, that kind of underscores what Justin was talking about. He was everywhere he needed to be, especially when where he needed to be was to be a bumper pool bumper for Lucho Acosta in front of the goal.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. But I'm going to go in a different direction. I think Emil Assad probably deserves man of the match, but I'm going to give it to Obi. I think Obi played really strong there in the midfield, and there may have been more attacks coming at us had Obi not cut a few of those off. His timing seemed to be back again, and as he, he's got the perfect timing on these tackles, but he was a little late by mid-season, right? I think he was coming off some injury and he was a little late getting back into form. He was right on it tonight. I think I got to give it to him for just, a lot of times those 6s and those 8s don't get a lot of credit for the roles that they play. But shout out to Obi for my man of the match.
I think Maxi Morales wishes he was still retired after that performance. Obi was all over his heels the entire match.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, we didn't talk about the potential, the call for a penalty, right, on Awazium. Was there anything there for you before we move on?
No, because they say he goes to ground. I was watching the game from home, obviously, but they say he's going to ground. I don't think he's going to ground. I think what he's doing is he's just selling out his body there. He's not even making any play on the ball at all. He's just completely throwing his hip to the left to try to cut off Awazium. And Awazium, to his credit, he completely surrenders his positioning, turns his back, kind of he's not making a clean just directly into his back kind of thing. It's just a butt bump, but nothing there.
Same.
Yeah, Jason, same. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Can we go back to the handball earlier in the match? No, I'm just kidding.
Shout for handball when Kubo, when the guy was trying to.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Not a handball for me. He had his arm down, like in a natural position.
Yeah.
There were scouts, man. I think everybody in TQL wanted that.
Absolutely. The first
one. If had I been there, I'd be screaming for it. But
oh man, I really think so. Justin Sands, I thought, played well. He got that yellow card early, but I feel like he might have had another yellow coming even before that. So I think that could have changed some of that would have opened up the game big time in the midfield. So not that we need to go back to game recaps. Those are some things that I think were pivotal moments in the match that we didn't hit on. I did want to talk about, this is a match recap. We talked about man of the match, but sometimes there's other things that happen and other players that deserve some sort of awards or some sort of shout outs for their play in the match. So I had one I just wanted to throw out. I got a couple here, so feel free to jump in if you have any players that you feel like deserved something. So as much as I love Yuya Kubo, I got to give him most likely to be a Stormtrooper award tonight. 3 shots, I think.
4.
None on
4
target.
shots.
Was it 4 and none
4
on
shots,
target?
and he had 1 on target
He
according
did
to
get
the
one.
stats.
I missed that one.
I don't
Okay.
remember it, but according
No.
to stat sheet, he had at least 1, but he had 4
Okay.
total shots.
All right, maybe I'll take that one back. Maybe I'll take that one back. How about you guys? Do you see anything? Any players you want to shout out?
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that this would be on not necessarily on the shots side of the business, but maybe the accuracy of that mistimed aerial duel by Lucho Acosta, where he just dives on Taven Gray's head. So I'm gonna go with that.
When you went offline, when we lost you, I told Jason it looked like he was throwing himself up there like a little cannonball. Just tucked himself and just went at him. So
I thought he was wearing those T-Max, man. I was like, how did he get so much air? But nah,
are those the insoles that they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta
All
get
right.
a
Gotcha.
little compression there.
I'm with you.
See, I'll say
go
that
ahead,
my
Jason.
surprise player, the surprise player of the match, not that anyone should be surprised, but Teenage Adibi's performance. I mean, we talked a little bit about it before, but the pace he's able to bring to the back line, I think, was really crucial in this match. And I think we mentioned it before. This back line felt like what the back line felt like at the beginning of the season. It's probably our best backline performance since Miazga and Hagelin went down. And props to Hagelin for being in the Bailey drumming on the drums today.
Absolutely.
We saw that. But
I missed that. Cool.
Yeah, they posted a little clip of him. But Teenage would be my surprise player, and it's mainly because this, I think, was his coming out party of a match.
Yeah, no, hard to argue that one. I had a couple more. The dazed and confused player of the match, Sergio Santos, was it the 83rd or the 84th minute, when I think it's Assad that puts a ball right on his foot, and he just looks like he doesn't know what to do. Do I make a pass? Do I go to goal? Do I dribble to the corner? Like, that's the guy we talk about all season that doesn't know how to finish a game. Well, he gets the ball in the middle of the pitch and is like looking around and totally unsure. And so he takes a step towards goal. Should I shoot it? No. Takes another step. Should I shoot it? No. And then finally his third, he takes a shot on frame, and it was a wasted shot, but he just looked so confused in that moment.
We need, in Forrest Gump, when Forrest is playing for Alabama, everyone in the crowd holds up a stop sign for him when it's time for him to stop running. I think when it's like past the 86th minute or whatever, everyone in the crowd needs an arrow that points to the corner whenever Santos gets the ball, and just like points to the corner, and that way he knows what to do. He just gets so excited, his brain stops working.
Yeah, have you seen that video? I don't know what league it was, where everybody's behind the goal with the arrows, and
they hadn't scored a goal in like 4 years or something like that, something crazy like that. And so they're like, the entire supporter section's got arrows, and they're following the play of the ball to get to the arrow. To the goal.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
I love it. I got 2 more. Feel free to jump in if you've got other awards you want to give out, but I want to give the You're Not Lucho player of the match to Alvis Powell for twice at the end of the match passing up an opportunity to give the ball to Lucho Acosta, and attempting to dribble 3 defenders and losing the ball both times. So
I think Luca is probably the only other person on the team who can do that.
Agreed.
Should be allowed to maybe do that.
Agreed. Powell's got the confidence though of every time he gets the ball at his foot, he thinks he's going to score. He's going to go at goal until he can't go anymore, and he's either going to take a shot or he's going to make a pass that he didn't ever want to make, and it's not going to be a great one. But today there was that extra bit of confidence that he looked at Lucho and said, "Nope, I got this." And then he didn't have this. So the You're Not Lucho award goes to Alvis Powell.
I wish I had that kind of confidence.
Don't we all? Don't we all? And then I will give the most improved player award. I don't know if you would give one of these out to. Let me just ask you: would you give this most improved player out to anybody on the team based on their performance tonight over the last couple of matches? Because I've got one in particular that I need to shout out here.
I would say maybe Obi, based on previous matches, like we've talked.
Okay.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Lucho in that
Okay.
situation because and that just goes down to his health.
Okay. This is maybe a stretch a little bit here, but I'm going to give most improved player to Luca Orishano. And I'll tell you why. I don't know if you guys saw it, but in the what minute was it? The 71st minute, he shot the ball with his right foot.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
He found it.
The right footed shot inside the box. So my most improved performer, most improved player is Luca Orishano for trying something that we haven't seen all season. Thank you, Luca, for that.
Now he's going to get a hattie next week. On Saturday, he's going to get a hat trick with that right foot just to shove it down your throat.
I sure hope so. Let's talk about that next match. The field was named. We're playing at Citi Field. Last time we talked, we didn't know that, and I believe that I forget our guest name that was from the New York City podcast, told us that, if I remember this correctly, you can go back and check me on this, that NYCFC had to buy the rights to use the stadium from an event, like a golf event that they were hosting there every year on this weekend. Is that right, Justin? Are you remembering that correctly, or am I out of my mind?
No, you're 100% correct on that. Trey filled us in that there was a little golf event. Apparently they do every fall at Citi Field, which is hilarious when you consider the fact. I know we can rag on, the situation for NYCFC, but the fact that the Mets allow teams to schedule stuff during the playoffs of the MLB playoffs, it's just like you already sold the season. Like the second you started, we're scheduling golf events when we could potentially be hosting a World Series. Like, let's think about this, guys. I think it's hilarious. I think I said it on the podcast last week that I'm really bitter that it's not going to be at Red Bull Arena. I think it would be something pretty awesome to rub in both fan bases' face that we are undefeated in the playoffs at Red Bull Arena. Pizzagate or not, we will come at it no matter where you're at. So
we have to win the game first, though, Justin.
We're gonna win. If it would have been at Red Bull Arena, I would have put the house on it. But Citi Field, we'll see how it goes. I hope that we don't have like some kind of weird turf monster or something like that shows up in the Citi Field situation. No turf, but same problems.
I wonder if they'll take down the nets at least, because I remember this was a few years ago. NYCFC, it might have been the year they won the championship at Portland. They played at Citi Field in the playoffs, and you know how in baseball now they have the nets that go all the way from first to third to protect the fans. They either didn't take down the net or they left the guy wires up. So like in the camera shot were these stupid wires while you're trying to watch the top level of American soccer in the biggest media market. And it was just ridiculous. So hopefully they do that.
If for no other reason, that's reason enough that we win this match and we knock them out, so we don't have to watch any more games at any of the three stadiums that they might want to play in. So let me ask you guys: Do we win this match? Do we bring round one to a conclusion in New York City like we did last year, or do we rest some guys? We put out what we can and we win it back in Cincinnati. What do you think?
Oh no, you got to go. You got to go for the coffin nails in this one. You need to put this thing to bed. I think they go out same lineup as tonight, and if Yedlin can go, he still goes. You try to go out there and get the win, because that The rest this time of season, I think, is crucial, especially for all the problems that this team has had. So if you can go out there and even eke out a 1-0 win, you take it. I do not want to see I think that would mean, though, that depending on how things go, we could have seen our only playoff game at TQL Stadium tonight, just depending on the way the other team games go. But I'd rather that be the case. Just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Justin,
I'm
thoughts
cool.
on that?
I'm cool with that. I mean, I'd love to finish this thing now, but yeah, if it depends on the Edlin injury, right?
Yeah.
I think you get the week anyway. I think I said that earlier in the show, but now thinking about it, you get the week no matter what, if you win the game or not. So yeah, I guess that would make more sense. I think that if you're still trying to work out some kinks, an extra game, like those game reps, like they do matter. So if there is something that you're trying to work out that you're really trying to drive home, which it's the playoffs, you probably shouldn't be. But
Yeah.
let's be honest. I mean, FC Cincinnati this year with we've talked about the lineup changes and all that stuff. If you're still trying to tweak just like a couple things, then I would play that with that, knowing that you have that third game in the back of your pocket. You know what I mean? Like, so we'll see how they play it. I would imagine Pat is not going to rest anybody.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Pat is going to go for the jugular.
Yeah, and I think too that with the red card on Gray there, I think that changes.
Yeah.
Doesn't change the game for us, but it definitely changes the game and takes out a stronger player for New York City.
One
and
of
if we
the
can
better
attack,
players.
and if we
Quick
can attack
question.
that side there, yeah, Jason.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah, no.
we did have some yellow cards tonight. What do we know what the yellow card accumulation rule is in the playoff?
It reset, right?
Ryan.
It reset going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what it is from here on out.
Well, you can't get 3 yellow cards in one match. That's the only one I know of.
Oh.
So don't get 3 yellow cards in one match. You'll get suspended.
You can't anyway.
That'd be really hard to do.
Oh no, it's happened to FC Cincinnati. So just heads up there.
That one was after the match. Does that count? Does that really count? I don't know.
He's still there, but then he gets another one on the way out. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I do think, and I've heard somewhere, right, that adversity makes you stronger. And we've had our share of adversity this season. And so I alluded early in the show to Pat Noonan's comments going into halftime. And they asked him, what are you going to do to change it up in the second half to put some goals in? And he said, we're going to talk about that in just a second. And he just walked away, right? He left it, but he said it with a smirk on his face. He said it so confidently, which I loved. Again, I think the team started confidently. They played confidently. Noonan was confident going in. And, whatever flip he was going to try and switch in that second half, I think he knew what he was doing going in to start the match, to press high. I think he knew the adjustments that were necessary going into the second half. And I think going into the second leg of the first round of these playoffs against New York City, we know how they play. We know the players they're missing. I think he's going to pour it on. I think we're going to score. Okay, so Abraham Garcia in the comments says we need to score more than one goal. Wholeheartedly agree. We had how many shots, Jason, did you say we had in the match?
I can tell you it was 20-something. It was
20-something.
22-6. And we outshot on goals 6-2. So a lot of shots that went nowhere, but still.
Yeah. And the shots on goal went right to Freeze, most of them, except for the one that went in. So he didn't have to work too hard tonight. But I'm excited about the number of shots that we got, the chemistry between the three up front that we saw. Giacchini could have easily had one. Santos probably could have easily had one had he not danced in circles waiting for someone. Lucho could have had some opportunities, or Shano had some opportunities. Kubo had some, I think the goals will come, and I think we're going to see probably at least a 3-goal match in favor of Cincinnati next week. So, let's talk about, before we wrap tonight, let's talk about the rest of the rest of the playoffs briefly. We had a couple play-in games. We had a 5-0 play-in game. Then we had some Eastern Conference games. Miami, 2-1 match over Atlanta, maybe a little closer than I anticipated that match. Orlando 2-0 over Charlotte. And then in the Western Conference, we go out to the LA Galaxy with a 5-0 win over Colorado, which shocks me a little bit. Galaxy's good. Colorado to get blanked and 5 goals scored against them was a shocker to me. And then LAFC with only a 2-1 win over Vancouver. What did you guys see in those matches? I know we probably didn't watch all of them, but any surprises there?
No. No, not for me. I think this is the same situation that it was last year. There was only one upset series out of the whole first round. So, and I think pretty much every team that won their first game won their series, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so. I don't think any of them did. Any of them go to 3?
Well, Columbus and Atlanta did.
They did
3.
Yeah.
But that was mainly, I mean, like revisionist history here. But I mean, they had Thiago Almada was suspended in the first game that they went and played Columbus. So, I mean, history could have been changed with Almada getting accumulation. I think it was a red card right before the season ended, but it's neither here or there.
Yeah. I think the Miami 2-1 result over Atlanta was a little surprising to me on the tear that Miami's been on, to only outscore Atlanta by a goal. Maybe gives me hope that Atlanta can win a second leg, but I don't know. Not too much hope there.
They're predicting a sellout for their next match in Atlanta. So 70,000 people there to root on the Five Stripes. That's the one that I could see going to 3.
I would
just
love
because
that.
I think, I could see that one going to 3. And of course, I think everybody and their brother is rooting for Columbus to choke. Out west, though, the Galaxy winning 5-0 does kind of surprise me. They're kind of my dark horse to win the West. They are pretty darn good. And I think RSL takes care of Minnesota really easily as well. Yeah. I don't see that really being much of a contest.
Yeah. Is there a match that's coming up that you're looking forward to? That maybe it's a second leg of the first round that we've already seen, or maybe it's the RSL Minnesota match, or Seattle Houston that's playing now. Columbus and New York Red Bulls is the other one that's coming up. Anything excite you there?
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I know I joked about it on Twitter, on X, but just seeing Vinny Sartini again at PC Place playing against LAFC for like the 500th time. But last year, if you don't remember, Vinny said some very controversial things exiting the first round after they lost to LAFC about the referees. So I want to see if the energy is still there. I think Vancouver is good enough to do it, and I think they play much better when they're playing north of the border.
Yeah, I think I'm most looking forward to the Columbus Red Bulls match. I think that's going to be one. We know how Red Bulls play. We know how dynamic Columbus is and can be. Would I love to see? We would see Columbus in the second round, right? In the next round.
Yeah.
Is that they're in our bracket, and then we'd have to go through Columbus and Miami to get to the final. But man, how great would it be if we could see Columbus in the next round and we could see Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the adversity we've been through and the team finally hitting their stride. Oh, that would be poetic, wouldn't it? If we could do that.
I'm rooting for chaos. I'm rooting for an FC Cincinnati versus RSL MLS Cup final. That sound you just heard was Don Garber having a stroke. And I'm hoping for chaos. Like I want nothing more than upsets all around.
Justin, are you watching this match?
I am.
As soon as Jason said I want chaos, I'm watching the Houston-Seattle match.
Yeah.
And a guy, who was it, gets tripped and punched in the gut as he's going to ground, and then a team fight breaks out right as you're saying you want chaos, Jason.
And who is the referee for that? Who's the match official there? It's Ted Uncle.
Is it really? I didn't
he
see
lets
that.
games
Yep.
get out of hand every
Oh,
time.
fantastic.
I'd recognize that dome anywhere.
He's smarter than the rule book, so he just just let it get into chaos.
Fantastic. Well, Jason, if you want chaos, you know the match you need to turn on right now.
I've got it on in another tab over here.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Well, hey guys, thanks for being a part of this a different weird time post-match show on a Monday when we normally record, but a little bit later because we had to watch the game. Thank goodness it didn't go to penalties. I wasn't sure how late we were going to have to get on tonight. So just appreciate your time jumping on. Thanks for listening, guys. Do you have any final thoughts leading into round 2, or any final thoughts of the playoffs? Any final thoughts, period?
Yeah,
Wrapping up the show.
I'll go first. If that was our final game at TQL for the season, hats off to everyone. Season ticket holders, Bailey, everyone that brought it all year long. I've said it a couple times. You created 2 new fans in my family, in my household. My kids still seeing the chants every single day when they get a chance. So really appreciate everyone who comes out and makes that stadium what it is. The sport is fun. The team is really good, but it's the people that makes that place so special. And yes, like Clifford said, beautiful tifo tonight. Good job, everybody at the Forge.
Look at you stealing final thoughts.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead, Jason. What you got?
My final thought, I maybe I'm just not in the best of moods lately. I've had some stuff going on in old Jason land that has kind of soured my mood. But going into this game, I felt like there were some folks in the fan base who actually had the audacity to say that FC Cincinnati had a bad season. And while, yes, there were some hiccups there, if anyone legitimately thought that this was going to be a team that was going to run away with the supporter shield, seriously, like, what? You're off your rocker. Like, this team is who we thought they were. I think I had them picked to finish 3rd or 4th in the East, and that's where we wound up, is 3rd. And now we're a few games away from moving on to the next round, the MLS Cup playoffs. This team is a fun team to watch. There were some hiccups in the season, but to act like this season has been bad, I think is just kind of ludicrous. And y'all just enjoy it, because I think next season is going to be better. But, this has been a good year so far. And I hope we get another game at TQL, and it's the final, and it's against Orlando. There we go. The Eastern Conference final against Orlando. Let's do it.
Yeah. Jason, if I'm not mistaken, you're not a Cincinnati native, is that correct?
No, I grew up around here.
Oh, you did, and you just lived in Salt Lake, is that right, for a while? Or okay, so I'm a Cincinnati native, moved away, obviously living in Fort Wayne, but the Cincinnati fan base is such a "what have you done for me lately" fan base, and maybe any city could say that, and I get it. I'm one of them, right? We had picked them at highest, I think, at 4th at the beginning of the season, that this is going to be a 4th place team because of everybody we lost. And then we were making a run for the Shield till the last month of the season, right? And I think we got our hopes up. We always do that in Cincinnati. We get our hopes up. Bengals are going to go to the Super Bowl this year, and then they don't. And that's just who we are, Jason. I feel your pain. I feel for the fan base. I don't think we had a bad season, but man, I was getting down there at the end of the season. So
see, I'm a different kind of Cincinnati sports fan. I grew up in Brown County, Ohio, which is like out in the sticks. But the Reds were my team, the Bengals were my team, and I'm old enough to remember the Reds winning the World Series. I'm old enough to remember the Bengals going in '89 or whatever. But I'm the opposite. I'm like, we're gonna suck this year. and I'm not going to get my hopes up. So, like, the Reds should be good next year until about July, and then they're not going to do anything. And Clifford, Georgetown, my hometown, buddy, go G-men. But yeah, that's kind of my attitude, is like, just middle of the season, it's all going to go to crap anyway. I mean, look at the Bengals, the most talented QB in the game right now, and they are just flushing them down the toilet because it's Cincinnati sports, man. So yeah, let's make a run of it. Let's have high hopes here. Come on.
Let's make a run. I agree, man. As we close out the show, my final thought is this was a different team that I saw tonight than I've seen in a while. This was a confident team. This was a team that wanted to play for each other. This was a team that believed in themselves. This was the team that I think wants to make a run in this playoff that I didn't see about 3 matches ago. It felt like they were about to throw it in, or they were tired, or they were something. This was a different team. And I think this team, we saw them mid-season in that form on the road, especially, right? If we're going into the playoffs and this going into the next rounds of the playoffs, and this was our last home match, we're a team that we know can do some damage on the road. And so I'm excited to see what we can do with the team that just wants to upset everything. So thanks for joining us tonight for this post-match recap of Game 1 of the playoffs series against New York City FC. We'll see you again Monday night after don't forget the match on Saturday, November 2nd. We'll see you next Monday night while we're celebrating, right? We're going in confident that we're celebrating a first round win going in to see who we're going to play in round 2 of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody.
Go G-Men.